Hi friend, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be painting this whimsical folk art inspired painting with our watercolor. I am using Danielle Smith watercolor and using my Etcher Everyday sketchbook that is hot pressed, and also my Pentel brush pen. I hope you guys really enjoy the video. It's going to have quite a few techniques as wet on wet, also wet on dry, a little bit of detail work, and also most importantly some art therapy. So sit back, grab your cup of your favorite drink, and we will begin. Okay, here is a picture of the drawing if you want to go ahead and sketch it out at this time. We're once again going to go with a whimsical fill. So I figured we'll go ahead and let you do that and we will begin. Okay, so now that you had time to pause it and sketch it out, I am going ahead and using my Danielle Smith watercolor. Sorry about the noise. And I figured I really like those little wonky houses. So we will begin with the sky. And I am going to go ahead and use some cerulean blue chromium. And I had some on my palette. If you don't have that, like a phthalo blue, green shade will work. You can use ultramarine if you want to. Just whatever color you have. So I'm going to go ahead and I want to wet my sky first, because as you guys know, I really like a wet on wet. I have some exciting news in the near future. I am really excited about. So you'll have to look for that in some upcoming videos. And I am using as you guys know, my Etcher Everyday sketchbook, and it's in a portrait size, but you guys can use whatever paper you have. And I like using a sketchbook because this way I don't feel like the paper is too precious. And you know, for these I just want some practice, and it is some great art therapy. But today we're just kind of working on art therapy and this whimsical look. I love this folk art style, so we're going to go ahead and start at the top. And I am thinking I love this color for the sky. It is very pretty. So we're going to go ahead and trying to keep it darker on top, and I think we may end up using like a ultramarine or a cobalt for the top, so this way it gets to be a little bit brighter. And in this, I'm either going to use a white MAC gel pen and probably some bleed proof white possibly, and probably a micron pen as well. Or you guys can use color pencil if you want for some of the detail. I'm not quite sure, but you guys can use what you have. You don't have to use the exact same supplies as I do. If you have just color pencil, or if you just have markers, you guys can do the same thing with this. You know, it's more about kind of the design and letting loose in your sketchbook. Just keeping everything to this easygoing folk art style. And then now that we got that, I'm going to go ahead and I want to take probably maybe a little bit of this ultramarine blue, and then I want to go ahead and put it at the top. And for you beginners, when you do this, it's called a wet on wet technique, and you're kind of mixing on your palette, or on your paper, excuse me. And then just kind of bringing it down to that gradient. So that works. I like that. Because if you look at skies, and this is going to give you a sense of perspective, that it's going to, with it being darker on top, and then it fades down. So that's perfect. I'm not taking it clear to the edge. I'm not too worried about it, because I should have taped it, taped it up. So, and then while we're kind of letting that dry, I'm going to go down here, and basically I want to do this one in a very light green, and I'm going to use what I have on my palette, and I took some cerulean blue and mixed it either with some hands of yellow or medium, or you can also use quinacridone gold, and I think this actually is more quinacridone gold. So I'm going to go ahead and use that mix, and I am putting this on wet on dry, and I'm going over the trunks because that does not matter that ain't gonna matter to me. So I'm going to take some more of this quinacridone gold, and as you can see, I hit the bottom, so it's one of my favorite colors. And then I'm going to take some more of this cerulean blue green shade, or not cerulean blue chromium. And just going over this. And whatever you guys have, if you guys feel more comfortable, you guys can always, this kind of makes like a sap green color, so you guys can always choose to do that as well. And then taking it down. I'm pretty sure this paper is hot pressed. As a matter of fact, I'm almost certain it is, which is not my favorite, to be honest, for this type of work. Now, I love it for ink and wash, or for gouache, but it's okay. Like, I did not care for it for when I use my Roman Smalls paint, so I will eventually be going over and working with that palette for a while. Basically, it's the same colors that is in this palette, because this palette is based on Jane Blondell's mix-in palette, and the colors she used for her 24 set, and then I have a few additional colors. So we're going to go ahead and leave that like that. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pause this and let this dry, and then we will come back and work on our houses and the other hill. Okay, so it's dry enough, and so what I'm going to do is I want to take this quinacridone burnt orange I have on my palette, and I'm going to go ahead and put the color over here, and I went ahead and did the other colors, and I am going to go ahead and fill that in over here, but I am going to speed it along. I don't have a lot of memory right now, so I'm just going to fill this in, and then this part here we're going to go over with some color pencil, and we'll be able to dip right into the houses next. Okay, so now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and begin with our houses, and I'm going to take this burnt color, and I am going to go ahead and I want to put it on this house here, but I think I'm going to switch to a smaller brush. So I am going to go with my Princeton Elite size 8 because that's what I was able to grab. I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way, and then I'm going to go back and I have to find, I don't have these colors memorized by any means. So I'm going to take some more of this quinacridone burnt orange because it is newer to me, and go ahead and try not to, excuse me, I'm going to have to turn this because that is still wet, so I do not want to bump it. So bear with me, guys. And I just don't want to put my arm into it. And I need a negative, work on some negative painting, which is going around this tree. Okay, so that is done. And then I am gonna take this purplish color, which is, I believe, cobalt violet, or is it, no, that cobalt whatever violet is what it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and use that, and we'll be putting the doors and windows in with pen. So we're going to go ahead and just paint this down. Hopefully you guys can see everything. Making sure it's trying to be in view. And I'm going to go ahead and put our color over there so we know what we used. And then once again, I'm going to go ahead and go down here. And if you need to use a smaller brush for the detail of this, you're more than welcome to. This is just the size I grabbed. So that's what I'm doing. And for when you're doing art therapy, you're just supposed, it's not supposed to be serious. I mean, it's supposed to be kind of stress-free. So I'm kind of keeping with that theme. So, okay. So we got that, and then I want to take some of this Pyros Crimson because I think that will go very nicely, and I'm not really worried about cleaning off my brush because I kind of like how it's like that maroonish color. And this is our last one of the houses, and then for the roofs, I am just gonna use the Jane's Gray. And if you don't have Jane's Gray, all it is a mixture of your ultramarine and your burnt sienna. And if you ain't got burnt sienna, burnt umber will work as well. So basically, or another way is you can take the red and green and add a pinch of yellow. So a little bit of color mixing as well for some beginner watercolor techniques. And I love how that looks. So that we're going to go ahead and put the purple tree here, because the colors are all going to kind of coordinate. You'll see everything's going to look kind of neat. I'm going to love how this turns out. So put the purple here. And then I wanted to go ahead and take the pinky color here, which is the Pyros Crimson. So we'll go ahead and put that here. And then the last one is going to be that orangey color. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and take a little bit of that quinacridone gold and use that. So this way it's nice and bright. We got all that done. So now we're going to go ahead and take this Jane's Gray and trying to be careful that we do not smudge, which I am notorious for. And I'm using a little bigger brush, so bear with me. And I am using a thicker consistency, almost all paint, because I do not want this running because of us using the detail. Okay, there's that. And then gonna go ahead and do this roof. And trying to keep all the strokes the same, because on this hot press paper you kind of need to. And my hands are shaky, so per usual, but that's okay. Okay, so yes, I just put my hand in it. Sorry guys. If you're doing it on your own, it's a lot easier. Trying to keep everything in frame of the camera and so you guys can see what I am doing. So I'm going to go ahead and put our color there. And this way you guys can kind of see and almost color match or whatever if you want to. Use it as a guide. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my favorite detail brush once again. And it's the Christy Rice from her first original palette, her size 2 round. I love it for details. So I'm taking all paint and trying not to put my hands in nothing. And I am just going down to add a chimney. And if it's a little crooked, that's okay, because it's going to kind of add to the effect. And then I'm going to go ahead and do our trunks as well in black. Or not, well, this neutral color. And going down here, doing the same. And then once again over here, and excuse the shaky hands because I am really shaky. I think I need to eat some dinner, which I will after this. So it'll take forever to upload this thing. So then I'm going to go ahead and carefully which the good thing with trees is, one, you can't really mess them up. But two, it's good to have shaky hands for trees. I think that's why I enjoy landscapes so much. Okay, and then come in here. Kind of going down. And every one you can kind of do slightly different. You can do them all the same. Whatever you want. Make it truly your painting. If you want to go with pine trees instead of what I'm using, go ahead. It's all up to your artistic on what you want. Okay, so I got my trees. I'm going to go ahead and a little bit more, add in just a touch of water, just so the paint, you know, moves a little bit better, which it was not doing very well for me, but now it is. So, and then that got smeared, but that's okay. We can just kind of fix it up right here. And then I got some down there, but that's okay. We'll just pretend that's not there. So now we're going to go ahead, and I want to take a darker color of green, and I am just going to go ahead and I want to put some lines in. So I am taking this size 2 and kind of making the lines a little thicker so it looks like it's a field. So we can take our green we mix and mix it with that Jane's Gray, or take a little bit of Viridian, which I'm going to do, taking a little bit of the Viridian and mixing it with that Jane's Gray that we have on our palette. So, and going up. Because what we're trying to do is to get the appearance of a field. There we go. Key is to making sure you have enough on your brush. And these lines are not perfect, they're wonky, but that's okay. I am once again fighting a headache. This time of year I have really bad sinus pressure, and it's a bummer, but reality. And so our little mix there, and I'm going to go ahead and continue on, and I went ahead and put a little bit of that quinacridone burnt orange into our mix, so this way it kind of ties it in with our other colors. Okay, and there, I think we finally got enough mix. Going through. I'm going to go ahead and speed it up, guys. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and take some more of this Pyro Crimson, and I will probably go ahead and speed it up after I do this first one to show you. And we're just mainly using paint, so it's kind of more like a cream consistency, and being careful that. And then I am going to go ahead and, because of time wise, will take a minute, and I am going to go ahead and paint these little circles. So I'll go ahead and speed the video up, and then I'll tell you the next step. Okay, I went ahead and used my brush pen to put in the doors and windows, and I love that how that works. And it's just a brush pen. You can use a Sharpie, you can use a Micron. I chose to use that, and the painting is done, and I love how this looks. I am way less stressed and very thrilled I got to paint today. So if you guys like what you're seeing, go ahead and hit the like button. It really lets the algorithm know that you like the content, and so this way we can help our community grow. Until then, God bless, and I hope you guys have fun. Happy painting. Bye, everyone.